websites, applications, and technology. And I'm going to try to keep the presentation as general as possible for you because I know you guys are technology practitioners. So I'll try to make it interesting for everyone and then we can have some discussion afterwards, questions and answers. So I'll just go over briefly who I am and what I do for the company, Chevron, some best practices, talk about responsive technology, which I'm sure you guys know about, visual appeal, simplistic architecture when designing your websites and applications, custom content in case you have to advise people if you're doing work for someone. You would have to advise them on their content. So just some things you need to know. Social media and how social media can help you with creating your websites and applications, promoting them, and also how social media can help you drive innovation. And then following leaders, just looking at the top companies, entities, and organizations that you admire and following what they do so that you don't fall apart. And then just looking at trends, things that are out there. And I'm sure you know more about the trends probably than I do because you guys are more into the latest information, but we can definitely have a discussion on that. So this is just a little montage I created for my social media presence. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, so feel free to connect with me on any of those social media sites. I'm a New Orleans native. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. I received a Bachelor of Arts in Print Journalism from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I received my Master of Arts in Communication from Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, which is in the Pacific Northwest. I worked as a reporter, a nonprofit communicator, and now a communicator. And basically, I started in print journalism in my career, so I love to write. And I just used my writing skills to propel my career to where it is today. The print journalism industry changed dramatically when newspapers started consolidating and closing down their operations. And now, as you know, most newspapers are online. People use a lot of online content and they don't use physical newspapers anymore to get news or magazines for that matter. So my career went through a transformation because of the industry that I entered into. But I always use my foundational skills in writing and communications. So for Chevron, I supervise web developers and writers. We have an internal communications department where we're responsible for developing websites for the company inside of the corporation and outside. And then we do a lot of printed materials, brochures, flyers, posters, annual reports, safety brochures, even magazines that are specific to the oil and gas industry. And our communications group provides that support, and I supervise those. Again, we produce communications inside and outside, and we have 62,000 employees worldwide. And then also the public, the consuming public, they also see that. So it's a pretty large operation. I think that we're doing a great job so far. So best practices for front end and back end. And again, I know some of you are creating apps, technology, websites, but these principles apply on the front end and the back end. And basically, simplicity is priority number one. Just keep it simple. Keep your code clean. I know you guys have gone through a myriad of classes that tell you that. In working in the industry, working for a corporation where we do supervise web developers, a lot of developers give us feedback, and when they have to work on sites that other people have worked on or created throughout the years, in the history of the corporation, a lot of times it's cumbersome if they have to take over from another developer or another person who created an application. So keeping things clean, segmented, and neat helps the person coming behind you to be able to pick up on the technology, realize what was done, troubleshoot any bugs, and keep the technology moving forward. Because we are a large corporation, and I'm guessing other corporations experience the same, you do have a lot of legacy applications and older things that people tend to hold on to. And as new technology is introduced into the enterprise, you have to either recreate those things or upgrade them accordingly. So if you just start out with that principle in mind as you launch out into the world of work by keeping your code neat and clean, you set good principles for yourself and you help those who are coming behind you. Spend time gathering requirements. I think this is really important, especially in this age where technology is so accessible and everyone can create things independently of large, entities. You as students, you have the abilities to work for people for hire and create websites or applications or technology for people. So I would say if you are participating in that or if you're working on any projects, spend some time gathering the requirements and finding out what you're trying to achieve. It's definitely time well spent, and it will help you on the back end when you start to put your application on your website to use. You want to test often. You definitely don't want to wait until everything's done to start the testing phase. I would say as soon as you're able to get some functionality going, start testing it right away. And don't test it with friends or your classmates. Test it with people who have no knowledge of the technology and they really don't know what you're trying to achieve so that you can get the actual feedback from the user community that you're targeting. So find someone who's unfamiliar with what you're working on, unfamiliar with the client, and ask them to be a beta tester, offer incentives, Starbucks gift cards, free cups of coffee, or whatever you need to do, but test often and test with people outside of your circle of influence and with people without that technical knowledge. Design is critically important. We work with various types of technical professionals, and everyone doesn't have the strong design skills. Sometimes that design element is it's just it's a skill or a talent that you have, and sometimes you may not be strong in that area. Whatever your area where you fall on that spectrum, just keep in mind that design is important. It really is everything. Because if you miss them on the design, you will lose the opportunity for them to see how great your technology really is. And I have this screenshot of the Apple Watch. There are a lot of people out there who can make a very strong case as to which products are superior to other products, but at the end of the day, consumers are gravitating towards design. So you have to consider that as a critical component and incorporate great design into everything that you do. And if you don't have that natural propensity towards it, find someone who does and ask for their opinion. And that's where your testing will come into play as well. Learn from others' mistakes. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Go out there, see what other people have done, find out what their pitfalls are, what challenges they had, and build that into your design, into your creativity at the onset. And you may even want to start with a mistake and say, how can I improve on this, or what can I create to address this issue? So definitely best practices, lessons learned. Follow the trends and be aware of your market. You have to know what everyone's doing in your area, your competition, people who do it at the top level, people who are doing the mid-level, people who are just starting out, startups, but you definitely have to follow the trends and be aware of your market. And then whatever you do, if you're doing it for a client or a customer or a company that you may be working for, you definitely have to reflect the business, its goals, and its reputation. So I would say go high quality. You can't go wrong with that. And then learn about usability. On the back end, as a programmer or a coder, you have to know a little bit about usability because that's the end result. Those are the people that will be using your technology. They're going to put it into practice. And usability includes some just simple foundational principles that help your users to get to their desired result. And a lot of times with usability, it's an ongoing exercise. So it's not just something that you go through as a phase, as you're creating your technology and then you're done with usability. It's an ongoing exercise with reviewing your analytics, testing, talking to people, following trends. You have to be nimble enough to make adjustments on the fly and make them often in order to respond to the needs of your users. So, responsive technology. I think this applies more when you're talking about websites, but maybe applications as well, because there are some apps out there that cross all of the platforms as far as Android and iOS. So if you're working on any type of app that's going to cross all of the platforms or a website, you definitely need to make sure that you're designing with responsive technology. So first point on that is educate your clients continually. If you are working with someone and they don't have a lot of knowledge about websites, web design, application development, first thing you need to do is just give them just a general 101 orientation of the technology that they're about to start working with and hiring you to support. Because it's definitely going to help you as you continue to make changes and improvements. You want to use that responsive coding technology for whatever you create so that whatever device your technology is accessed on, it appears as you intended. So for us, when we use technology, we're mainly concerned about our websites being able to be displayed well on the iPhone and iPad. The desktop, we use iPhone and iPad. We wanted to make sure that the layouts were responsive and that it was user-friendly in those particular modes. Because a full desktop website on an iPhone, that's not a good user experience. So we had to incorporate usability and responsive technology into the website so that when the person accesses the site from the phone, it automatically displays the full version of the layout. And with more devices kind of permeating our sphere of accessibility, like the Apple Watch and other things, responsive technology is even more important now. Mobile is still key. So I would say anything that you create, design with mobile in mind. That is where everyone is accessing the internet from. People are doing everything, watching television, TV shows, making transactions, doing a lot of things on a mobile phone, so definitely design with mobile in mind. And then test on all of the popular devices. The devices that you know that are high in circulation, like the Android and iOS, and any other popular devices, you want to make sure that you test on it, have people that you know who have these different types of devices test your application or your website, send you a screenshot, tell you about their experience on that particular device, just so that you know you're doing something that's pretty neutral and that your intent is being achieved by everyone. Same thing with the device brand. And then analytics. Analytics are critically important. For whatever you do, you definitely need to keep a close watch on your analytics, your user habits, the details, where are they accessing your site from, desktop or laptop or tablet or phone. What areas of your application are they accessing most often on your website? So analytics are important because they tell the story of your user habits and what's going on and what's popular. You know, what do people want? Once you find out what they want, you can highlight those areas, make the changes to your application or your website to put that at the forefront so that the user experience is better and better, and you create some brand loyalty and people kind of continue to use your service or your technology. And then again, just keep confirming mobile use is number one, because if it is, that will drive the majority of your design decisions and what you put into your website or your application. Visual appeal. Now, this goes back to that whole design component that I was talking about. It's really important. We've seen and experienced where people have come up with great applications and great websites for functional purposes to get some type of goal or something accomplished, but they don't look good. And if they don't look good, it's a turn off to the user. And it also gives the impression that it's not high quality, the use is going to be compromised, and it's not reliable. So visual appeal sends a lot of different messages to your users. And also, when you talk about visual appeal, you have to realize that everyone that uses a piece of technology, whether it's a website or an app, they're coming with prior experience. They're coming with a set of expectations from other apps and websites that they've used successfully, and they love them. And so once you put something out there that's new, you have all of these expectations that are coming along with your user. And that's why your design is going to be critically important. So I would say, if you don't have the natural propensity towards graphics design, just find someone. They're easy to find. You can tap into fellow students. They have sort of resources like eLands and other freelance websites out there. You can easily find someone that can give you the advice that you need. You want to design your visual appeal to complement your brand. So whether it's for your own business enterprise, someone else, whatever their brand is, if they have an established brand already, products or services, if they have a color scheme going or a logo, everything that you do with the website should complement that brand as well as the application. Images are everything these days. Everything is being dominated by images. Images are being used as a communications tool. And the reason why people are using a lot of the images and a lot of the icons that you see with the apps is because they're global in scope. So when you think about languages, multiple languages, rather than having to translate a lot of tiny detailed information, you can communicate a lot of things by the use of images and icons that become familiar to people and crosses all languages and cultures and other different specific things that separate us as a global community. So definitely images are the way to go. You want to be consistent with the imagery and your colors. So again, if you're doing something where there's an established brand or a logo or imagery out there, don't go too far away from that color family and that image family. Just kind of be consistent, because visual communication is strong, and if you divert too drastically away from the brand, people will think it's something else. It's a different company, it's a different entity, it's not associated with that brand. So definitely just keep those things in mind. And then you want to change your images often for a fresh appeal. So for websites, if you're working with websites and you're going to make it an image-dominant website, you want to keep it fresh. You want to let people know that things are always happening and you're keeping on top of it. So just swap out your images using these same brand principles. You definitely want to make sure that it's giving a fresh look to the people. This is an example of one of our mobile websites. So this is how Chevron.com is rendered on the iPhone 6, and it's just a snapshot of it. And before I get into the architectural best practices, just some usability concepts to note and keep in mind. As we work on mobile websites, we always have certain elements that are consistent throughout all of the designs. And this can also apply for mobile applications. But your search, you definitely want to make sure search is visible and easily accessed. This is kind of like the standard icon now for a menu. When people see that visually, they know that's a drop-down menu. These visual cues here let you know that there are more stories, and then these are the user controls that are a part of the form. So, as you work on your applications and your mobile website, these are some of the things that you want to keep in mind as you kind of develop, okay, what's going to be the colors, what's the content going to look like. Just make sure that all of these standards are present and your user controls are in place so that people, again, have that expectation is fulfilled for the type of experience that you receive when they get to your website or your application. So On simplistic architecture, statistics are showing that the mobile devices are the preferred device to use for the websites and the apps. And then analyzing your traffic, as I said, to make sure that mobile is number one. And then your simplistic architecture will guarantee you, a better user experience. So don't try to crowd it. Don't try to put too much in, because most of the data is showing that mobile users want quick, fast, and on-the-go type of information. They don't want to do too many heavy transactions. Just want a couple of clicks and points and swipes and ready to go. I always recommend 5 to 7 top navigation categories. I would say 5, just because we're moving into more mobile traffic and activity. Phone sizes are varying, so I would say go with less is more. The writing, as you work with your teams, your functional teams, or creating apps or websites, writing is critically important as well. So have someone proofread it, make sure your writing is clear and easy to read, and keep it as simple as possible. And your contacts and your help info, you definitely want to make sure that that's good. Custom content. This would apply more to your websites than your applications, because your applications will be more functionally based, accomplishing a task or doing something transactional. But your websites, content is king when it comes to websites. So custom content would be the way to go for the website. Just a static website with the same content over and over, people are not going to visit it very often. They may visit it once. If they see nothing has changed, they're not coming back again. So you definitely want to make sure for any website that you create, counsel your clients and work with them to say, hey, let's make the content compelling. Let's put people, projects, or the environment or something that will grab the user's attention into that website to keep it appealing. Just be aware that all of the users now are very savvy. They can detect the scans and mass mail type of content. So you have to put in the time to make sure that it's customized and it's authentic so that people will have a reason to come to your site. If you're going to do blogs, a lot of people blog from their websites. I would say develop a regular schedule for blogging so that people can anticipate when to expect a new article or when to expect to see something new. And if you're working with a client or you have your own website, blogging keeps the site fresh, it keeps people visiting the site, but it also sets you up as a subject matter expert in your particular area, and lets people know that in addition to providing whatever services you're promoting from the website, you're also doing a service by sharing great information that people can learn from. E-newsletters. Email is still a great way to reach user communities, so you can set up an e-newsletter from your website, start sending that out. That will drive to the site. Champion any type of recognition, awards, community service. You definitely want to use your website to highlight that. And then in-person appearances. Anytime you have an opportunity to be face-to-face with people, workshops, seminars, all that stuff, you definitely want to post and make available from your website so that it can be used as a tool. So that would be website communications particularly. And this is an example of our departmental website where we have a newsletter, it's personalized. You can subscribe to the newsletter, get information, and then you can talk about the awards we receive for the great work that we do and other things that are important to our particular user community. So using social media to drive innovation. I took a snapshot of this particular Twitter personality that I follow. She has her own talk show and she hosts a Tuesday Twitter chat called Millennial Talk. It basically is discussion groups and Twitter chats like this where you can just stay on top of relevant things that are going on in your particular industry or with your generation or just what's happening out in the world, and it may help you to create something new, drive innovation, or it may spark an idea based on what you're saying. For social media, I subscribe to what I call the professional trinity, which is LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. But depending on what you're accomplishing, your goals, and what you're trying to achieve, your social media sphere may be broader than that into some of the other tools like Instagram. I know Snapchat is a video social media site that's gaining momentum. So, but these are just the foundational ones that if you want to establish, I think, a solid foundation, you should start with those and then branch out accordingly. Follow the trends, you know, just keep up with the different chats, the Twitter chats, and discussion groups that are of interest to you. Ensure that your brand has a page on these platforms. So if you do have your own brand or you're building your brand, you definitely want to have a presence here. I think even as students, as you prepare to start launching out into the world of work, looking for employment opportunities, you may want to consider creating a brand for yourself on these platforms, because LinkedIn is kind of like the new age resume. Twitter, you can kind of follow up your brand on Twitter. Facebook is more social, but I think from a professional standpoint, it would serve you well if you're, you know, seeking employment opportunities to kind of create a professional side of your brand platform. So just something to consider. And as a technology professional, you could have your own website that has, you know, samples of your work and things that you've done to demonstrate to employers what you can do, and not only employers but potential clients if you're looking to do that as well. Personalized content, you definitely want to provide that and put links to your website or your application. So if you have a website or you're working on a new project or an application, you definitely want to get on social media and start talking about it, drive traffic, get the conversation going. As far as followers, as you get more, I think, specific about what you want to do from either a business perspective or career perspective as far as pursuing your career goals, I would definitely say just do an audit of the people that you're following on Twitter to make sure that they align with your mission, your goals, can retweet you when you're doing exciting things and have new projects going, repost your information, and vice versa. So if you're really getting more specific, you're like, look, I have a goal in mind, I'm either establishing my own business or I'm looking for job opportunities or, you know, doing research in a particular area, just be more deliberate in your activities on social media so that you can start building that following that you're looking for that will get you to your goal. And then I always say, always leave them wanting more. So as you start telling your story and start branding and tweeting, you know, keep things interesting, use new tools, and stay on the cutting edge so that people can continue to have a reason to follow you. So follow the leaders. This is our website as far as in Twitter. This is our Twitter presence, LinkedIn, Facebook. So again, if you have companies that you admire or companies that you like to work for or you think are really cool, you know, start following them on social media, look at what they're doing, visit their pages directly, and just keep watching their activities. This is the full desktop website. And then trends, I think that is the biggest thing, especially when it comes to technology, because technology changes so rapidly. And I think that you have to stay on top of what's going on in the news, watch the trends, and just check your Twitter discussion groups to see what the chatter is about. So I just did a quick search this morning on robotics, and this was the top tweet with a quote about, you know, learning something new. And then this organization that said they had some recognition by Global Science Fair. And then I searched technology, and cloud computing was the advertised tweet, and then of course you had other tweets thereafter. But I would say from time to time, you should definitely do some research and go out there, search the topics that you're interested in, and see what the trends are and what people are chatting about. Seek opportunities with established platforms. To me, for you as technology practitioners and students, this is kind of a budding opportunity. Apple is saying you're going to have a new app store specifically for apps for the Apple Watch, and it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. What are the requirements? How will these apps function, and what the possibilities are? They just have a lot of support for their iOS developers and people who want to get into this industry, and it's an opportunity to explore and just see what's possible, what solutions can be created, and what apps can possibly be included. And I think with this, it's a great opportunity to explore new territory because it's a new device and it's not as saturated with thousands and thousands of apps that are already out there. So I think for students, it's definitely worth looking into. And then follow the money. I know that a lot of people are very focused on their particular disciplines and what they do, and it's good to be an expert in your craft, but you also have to have a broader perspective and kind of watch your industry. Pay attention to the trends and also find out where the major investments are going. I know that we're living in the startup world and we see a lot of about startups and established companies who started out that way, but just keep an eye on the investments, the larger companies, and what people are putting their money in, and what organizations like the Wall Street Journal and Fortune Magazine are saying about technology companies. Because I guarantee you, if you start seeing some of those things about the new technologies in the news, in those investment types of papers, that's where your new industry may come up with. That's where the boom may happen. So definitely follow the money and just watch the major players news on where things are going. And then never stop dreaming. This is my project. I'm a corporate communicator, but I'm also a children's book author. So I have my own website for my books that I create called the Ava Books, and this is a Facebook page. And then I kind of have one of the images in the background on LinkedIn and on Twitter as well, and then the website. So my plan is to take it to the next level, do an app or some sort of storybook feature, and just continue to embrace technology. So this starts as stories with actual physical books that children can read, but I definitely want to embrace technology and even give them animation. So I would say never stop dreaming, never stop looking for opportunities to innovate and to interject your own creativity into the process, because technology now makes it possible. I can do this type of thing in my spare time and have the practitioners that are available to provide the support based on my own knowledge of the industry. So I would say as students, as you continue to study, you prepare a career, or you look down the road for a career working with an established company, there's still lots of opportunities for you to pursue your own interests, have your own companies, or be consultants in your own right, and the technology makes it possible. So continue in that way. And then the future is now. So this is an example of a large touchscreen interactive display that we created, where people actually walk up to the screen and interact with it. And basically, it's all built on web technology. And of course, Apple Watch coming soon, and robotics. I've been reading a lot about hotels and airports and other commercial industries that are adopting robotic technology, where they have these kiosks that are either available to talk to you and help you with customer service type activities, or they actually just roll around and approach you intermittently. The one in the hotel, I think, goes from room to room and delivers newspaper and other amenities to people. So robotics technology is definitely gaining momentum, and this may be another device where technology experts such as yourself, you may be creating applications for it or content for it. So just keep an eye on it. I think definitely not. So with that, this is a copy of my ebook on the subject and technology. It's available on Amazon, and I have some other books out there. And like Joseph said, if you follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn, you know, I put out information about how to get those resources. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. Go ahead. Yeah, I can send you a free copy. Because it's $5, so it's not, you know, it's not going to break the bank. But yeah, I'll send it to Joseph and he can distribute it out to the
to the attendees. Only the attendees.
Yeah, I'll give you the student discount. Yeah. But yeah, definitely take advantage of reading about the book, and I would say just keep it as a resource, because if this is something that you do regularly as far as creating applications and websites, you need to have those usability principles codified. And they have a lot of websites and resources out there, but I would say to be successful in it, you have to know your users. It's definitely a dual exercise. And if it's not something that you really want to do, then partner up with somebody that does it well, and then you'll always be successful.
A couple of such things. That's very smart that you work with developers, so you can create your own side project. You already have all the developers around you.
Yeah, but I don't use the developers ad work because, you know, that would be a conflict of interest. But I do. I mean, I've been working in the industry for so long that I have knowledge of it, so I know how to work with the technical professionals to create the results that I'm looking for. But yeah, I wish I could work with those guys because they are some of the best out there. But yeah, it would be a conflict of interest. But again, it's not to say you can't use what I've done as a model for your own career path, because it's definitely doable. And with technology, I think it's necessary now. So what is your field of study? Are you? Oh, okay. So what are you going to do when you graduate?
Well, actually,
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 developments so far. And actually, I'm actually working on scheduling based now.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of been time was really on my side, so for school, work,
Mm-hmm.
so I got to get high school and focusing not mainly on that, but just that.
And working. Yeah. Well, if you have your own app development company, I would say just take some of the things that I said to heart, as far as maybe you could contract out your other services, but you would need someone with a design eye. You need someone who knows about usability, or if you're too small, you can learn about those usability principles yourself. But I think those are some things that are very important if you're launching out into that industry. You definitely need to just develop just a good, savvy use and application of those skills as you continue to create applications. Because you want to, the user side is critically important. So that's what really guarantees your success. So good luck. I mean, you're doing exactly what I think all professionals, you know, I'm glad you're doing it as a student, but I think all professionals now have to do that, because this industry, business itself is so up and down that people can easily have a full-time job and then be out of a full-time job. And so having the ability to run and operate your own consulting firm or industry, or whatever industry you're in, it diversifies your streams of income and also your talent, because a lot of professional career advisors are saying it's risky to just have one job and to put everything into your day job. You know, you need to look at diversifying, you know, in all areas, so that if you do lose your job, you can still keep going and, you know, maintain quality of life for themselves. So we're definitely on the right track.
I think it's really interesting that you started something on the side, like in addition to working at Chevron. I'm, I guess, really interested in, was there a moment or like a breaking point where you were looking at the fluctuations in the company, you were like, okay, I need to get something else going for myself? Like, was there a particular moment in time where you were like, this is kind of...
No, not for me. I think, but that's a good, I mean, if that does happen, it's perfectly fine. You know, everybody has their kind of like wake up call or epiphany. But for me, I've always been an entrepreneurial type of person. And that's because of the influences of the people that I was around when I was a child. You know, they were all entrepreneurs and they were independent-minded people. So I always had that. And so when I, in college, I was a writer and I worked for the student publications, so the newspaper, the yearbook, and I had the opportunity to become like the editor and the leader of that. And that's when I kind of got my first feel of running a small business and supervising staff and overseeing the budget, and that's kind of what solidified me. And I always knew that I would be a working person pursuing a career, but I always knew that I had that thirst to have a business. And so from the very beginning, when I graduated from college, I always had a business. And it hasn't gained like commercial success, but I've always maintained some sort of private entity where, you know, I provided services. So that's just been me all the way through consistently. But I think as I've gone through my career, I've just stepped it up. You know, I've been like, okay, I need to invest more. I need to get more serious. So it's just been a more of a me stepping it up and realizing that it just takes more commitment. But no business, you know, is successful without somebody putting in that time and, you know, that energy over a number of years. So for me, it's just something that I've always been into. But the technology now affords me the opportunity to do it on a larger scale and more publicly, you know, like with the website. But I would say if it's something that you have, you know, you just got to keep little by little, it never leaves you. That's the nice. But and it also helps because once you get a job, people recognize that and they do tend to put you in leadership roles for their business. So it definitely is beneficial all around.
Some of the biggest challenges you face
In my career, it's been so much. I would say the biggest is the things that are outside of my control, like market fluctuation. You know, layoff cycles, having to take other jobs, taking pay cuts. You know, I've been through all of that. Pay cut, taking a job that's outside of my discipline, not really what I wanted to do, but just sticking in there and like, okay, I gotta have a job, so I gotta make the most of this job and do the best I can. Those were the most challenging times for me, but I just weathered the storm and I just kept going. And I would say my commitment to keeping my outside interests, those are the things that sustained me during those times. Like when I had to take a job that was totally outside of my discipline and I wasn't writing or communicating, I was still writing for people, writing grants and writing books and doing my thing on the side. So that brought me fulfillment and sustained me when I wasn't doing it as a part of my primary job. But yeah, it hasn't been easy throughout the ups and downs. But I would say the hardest part is when the market conditions change and it impacts your industry. And you have to go through all of these changes of moving to another job. You may not get to do what you want. You may have to take a pay cut. Those are the biggest challenges. That and coming out of college that was a huge challenge for me because it was hard for me to get the, I had ideas of the dream job. That's what motivated me throughout college. Like, when I get out here, I'm going to get this good job and it's going to pay well and I'm going to be set. And it didn't quite happen that way. So that was a big challenge in my career as well, because I had to kind of start from the bottom, making no money, and then just build on my career. But I would say my persistence during that time definitely yielded the results. And within, say, 5 or 6 years, I look back and I significantly increased my income. I mean, by a lot of money, by sticking in there and like, okay, I'm gonna keep going and looking for the better job until I get the income that I want. So that was hard for me, but I stuck it out, and yeah, I did reap the benefits of that. So I would say just hang in there. It's not gonna be easy. Probably the hardest part is when you first get out, because it's a wake-up call. It's just like, it's not at all what you thought it was going to be. But I would say just ride it out and keep hanging in there, because every opportunity builds on another opportunity.
This one will. What do you think is a few years from now after the side job?
Well, I'm hoping to be somewhere, in the management ranks in my company. That's number one. I do love what I do, and I do want to be a leader in the corporation. I've done the work, and I feel like I have what it takes. So I would like to do that and take these things to the next level. I'm trying to get a deal with a publishing company for one of my children's books, and also continue traveling and speaking and sharing information and writing. So much of the same, but I always want to go to the next level, and I love maximizing my income. That's that's a part of my reward. Not that I do anything crazy with the money, but it's just to see where I started and then keep maximizing it. That is like, wow, this is awesome. So I would say for a young person, don't ever stop. Don't ever get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep going.
People both agree on that. It's very, very bothersome. You both felt like, I don't even know if people on that hangout. But no, there is definitely very, very, very low ball, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's something that I've learned over the years as I've kind of navigated my way through my career. I don't know. Personally, you can't really, it's something that is really difficult to change, because how do you know what another person makes? Okay, but I think for women, being aware, that's where the value comes in. Awareness is everything. Knowledge is power. So if you know that women are being paid lower at a lower wage, if you know as a woman you tend to be lowballed, when you do have those opportunities to negotiate your salary, you gotta go in with that knowledge and be prepared to take action against it. For me, sometimes you have the luxury of doing that, and sometimes you don't. So it's kind of like you gotta pick your battles. I've been in situations where I put my salary on the table and they met, so I was fortunate. When I got into Chevron working for a corporation, they already had policies in place to address those disparities. So that kind of thing doesn't happen as often. But still, if you're in a situation where you can negotiate your salary, that's where the opportunity lies for you to address that. So it's very, to me, it's personal and it's individual and it's difficult to challenge, but the knowledge is the power. So if you know you as an individual, you have to go in and do what you can to impact it. And it's a balance too, because sometimes I've taken jobs that are lower paid, but it had the skills that I needed to build on to get to the higher paid job. So it's a balancing act.
How do you tell and tell to address that need?
Or they tell you.
They tell you.
Yeah, they tell you that. No, they tell you when you get your offer that we offer higher wages above the market. They tell you they do the research and they're giving you a salary above what the market is calling for. And then with the internet, you can just go out there and research it and confirm that. Yeah. With the global corporations tend to go above and beyond the standard because they want to retain the top 10. So if you're in that situation, if you're working for a global corporation, 9 times out of 10, they want you, they want to do whatever it takes. It's when you get into your smaller businesses and family-owned businesses and companies that just can't afford that, that's when you may see those types of disparities. So I would say if those are some areas of concern, you got to make a company that addresses that your goal. But it may not work out that way. Because for me, it didn't. I had to kind of like pay my dues and work my way into that optimal situation. It always wasn't that way for me. But I was willing to do whatever it took. So I would say, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because as a young person, coming out of school, going into the world of work, I don't want to give you any false sense of what's going on out there. You may encounter those types of situations and unfortunate circumstances. You may be aware that it's happening to you, and you may not. But I would say you really got to sit down and assess what you want to accomplish. And is it worth it? Is the risk worth the reward? And then you got to make your decision accordingly.
Is someone the only person?
Oh, no.
So you had those other throughout your career. Would you be able to have those negotiations?
Just one.
Just one.
Yeah. Well, no, I would say two. One was a nonprofit organization and one was a small business. And I was able to negotiate my salary. But on the one nonprofit organization, I had worked there for some time and I knew that it was time for me to get a pay raise and that I wasn't making the industry standard and they would give it to me. So I moved on.
Well, beforehand, you do some research to see.
Yes. Yeah. Do research. Find out what they pay for your job in that area, and that way you'll know what you should be making. But yeah, it's fluid, because once you're there, everything is gonna, evolve over time. But as you grow, you're gonna grow as an employee. You're gonna know, okay, I feel like it's time for me to move on to this position, and I want to see about this opportunity, and I'd like to see what this compensation package can offer, and that's when you start making those decisions.
Okay, I'm done there.
All right. Anybody else? Or 2 people in the back, you guys have any questions? Are you in computer science as well?
Yes.
Okay. What year are you?
This is last year's senior.
Senior? Okay. You going out? You got job opportunities lined up, or you still exploring?
It's now is the time that I'm currently updating my resume for it out.
Okay. What area are you looking at? Application development? Or?
Yes, more of that.
Oh, web development?
I do have a question. In your book, do you give a technical advice, or is it more like the guidelines you have?
I do give some technical advice, but more about HTML5 and responsive web design. When I wrote the book, responsive web design wasn't popular. It wasn't as popular as it is now. So as a company, we were grappling with, do we just redesign a lot of our major websites to include responsive technology, or do we create a separate layout that we can put the code in so that when they visit the site from the mobile site, it populates into the mobile version of the layout. We ended up doing that first because we have so many websites that it just wasn't realistic. So we started with that. We had a separate desktop layout, we had a mobile layout. So when we hit the site from a phone, it would populate it to the mobile site, and then the desktop, you get the desktop site. So that's the strategy we used starting out. When we had the opportunity, when we got the opportunity to redesign sites, we started incorporating responsive websites. But it was something that we grappled with because we are big on the user experience. So we didn't want to do anything that was too cookie cutter and didn't give people the optimal experience. So we really started off with a customized web layout that we thought would give the mobile user the optimal experience. But then as things started to evolve in HTML5 and responsive web design, we just said, hey, it's a no-brainer. Just go with responsive because then you don't have to maintain so many different layouts, so many different content sources. But we had a good strategy. I mean, the layout was just a shell, the content source was pulling from like a feed. So we had source files and it just displayed. It was just an effortless display. So yes, it does contain some technology, but it's technology that addresses the infancy stages of responsive design and helping someone decide which way they want to go. You want to go with a customized mobile layout, or do you want to go with responsive? So I'm actually going to write an update because now things have changed, and now I would automatically advise people, don't even think about it, just go responsive all the way. But for us, that was the dilemma, and I think a lot of large organizations will probably get that same problem with it. So I hope you find it to be useful, and it's a very short book, and I wrote it with the intention of updating it on a regular basis because technology changes so rapidly. So I'll be addressing that in there and putting some screenshots from my own website because at the time I didn't have my own site, but now I can actually demonstrate the things that I talk about in the book. But I think for developers, things are getting a lot easier for you because technology is becoming a little more user-friendly and helping you to satisfy the needs of your clients a lot quicker without having to do so much coding. So much source code is available and there for you to grab and hop in that it makes your job easier to do. But I think for a business owner or someone who is having to launch out into this, they need to educate themselves about it so that they can work with people like you to be able to partner with you to achieve the results. So it would work on both sides. You could use it as a reference for your usability resources to make sure you're designing with the user in mind. But you could also give it to a client and say, hey, you need to read some of this so that you can know what we're going to be working on. And I would say working with web people who come to you for website creation or mobile app creation is a partnership because technology is changing so rapidly. There's no way they can say, just create this for me and see you later. If you want to have anything changed, they'll be back. So I would say work to create partnerships that can be mutually beneficial.
Environments that are like that. this part of Houston? Any communities?
I don't know, but I know somebody who knows. One of the web developers, I'm talking about Joe. One of the web developers who we work with, and Joseph, he mentors Joseph as well. He knows of web development communities where you can network with people, talk to people, and those guys have been a part of that for a long time. So yeah, I can get you the person who knows. All righty, do you have any questions? Or you're in computer science as well? Oh, computer science minor. Are you pursuing a career in the industry? Oh, web and graphic. That's good. So you already got the graphic component to your. Yeah, I would say that's definitely a plus. If you have graphics skills and abilities, it definitely helps because that's everything. You know, people just want it to look good and they want that user experience. So it's definitely good. Because a lot of times, you know, we can always find the back end people with the tech skills, but we gotta have the design component. And sometimes people don't want to deal with that. So it's definitely a good add-on and also a good resource to your other fellow classmates who need support. So, do we have another question?
Yeah. With a bunch of friends, we were trying to launch a video website that would stream African movies. And so our audience would be mostly Africans and African Americans.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any advice you can give us? Because so far, the way we're planning, we can't really see the challenges before we meet them. So,
well,
things we should be
looking for? Well, have you heard of Pana TV? Yeah, PANA TV. Okay, I will Google that first. Look up Pana TV. That's it's an African network. It's kind of like the African Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch and they're pretty good. So.
Yeah. So that I would say use them as a guide. Like I was saying, follow the leaders. So they're doing it successfully, and I would definitely visit their site and just look at everything that they're doing. As far as for here in the United States, you could also do some research. Just talk to people, people who are from Africa who live here, and like find out how they access their program. I know a lot of people do the DVDs. Personally, I do YouTube, you know, but YouTube doesn't offer all of the television shows. Like they don't offer all the series. They give you one, and you're like, oh, what happened? You can't get it. So I would say look at Pana, find out how they're doing it. I know it's a subscription service. YouTube, you know, just look at their site, and then I would ask people what their preferences are and how they're getting their content. But you can start off small. Just pop up a page and do an aggregate. You know, don't reinvent the wheel. Like, just pull content from existing sources. Just put a page up and maybe pull a couple of YouTube videos and some other video sources and put it there and watch the traffic, see what people are watching, check your analytics, and just track it for a while, and then build on it. If you get a following, if you see more user adoption, then you can build on it. But for something like that, I would just start small with one page and just offer a few programs and just watch my analytics. And as your community continues to grow, I would just build on it and just offer more content as, you know, people request it. And even put the videos, and I would put either a comment box or something where I could receive emails or say request, and then have people tell me what they want to see. And they might say, oh, do you have this, or do you have this, or you can get that? And I would add videos according to the demand. Like if 150 people ask for this particular episode, then I would go through it and get it. And you see what I'm saying? That's what I would do. I would start small and I would build on. But yeah, if you do that, let me know. I was like, I don't want to subscribe to Panda because I'm like, it's not expensive, but I'm hesitant because I don't know anybody. Like I've asked a few of my African friends and they haven't subscribed, so I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know, what if it doesn't work out and I can't get what I want and then I'm wasting my money. But if it had a site like yours and you just had like, okay, you could get these videos for free, but if you want more, you can subscribe. And if I saw a community of people saying, ooh, I love this, watch this, hey, you never know. They may subscribe. Yeah, so, but I definitely think that that's a great idea, and there would be you would definitely have an audience. We have a large African community here, and I'm an African American person, but I traveled to Africa, and while I was there, watched the programming, and I'm like, yeah, this could be something that I wouldn't mind watching on a regular basis, but being here, you don't have access to it. So, yeah, that would be my thought. Yeah, so I would say just start small and build a following and use your social media, use Twitter, use your contacts, visit, talk to people, tap into all your community, like your African communities, because I know like the Angolans, they have their own society here, they get together. I would just visit and talk to people and tap into those and just start small and just build on.
I just wanted to ask you where you went next.
Oh, I went to Botswana and Cape Town and just passed through Johannesburg. Yeah, all South Africa. And I did the African ancestry DNA testing, and I know that my ancestors are from, my maternal side, they're Fulani, so they're not really from anywhere. They're migrating. Yeah, but their region is northern Nigeria. So the Fulani side of my family, and then my father's side is Allyson from Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. So that's where I know where I'm from in Africa. Yeah, I think I do, but if I don't, I can email you. We can do the technology. All righty, well, it's been great talking to you guys and sharing with you. We keep the conversation going, like Joseph said, connect with me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. We can exchange contact information. If you guys have any other advice, questions, or just want to keep your ideas flowing or whatever, I'm open to it. And I definitely appreciate you coming out. And I'm looking to you as the future to go out and do great things. And I definitely believe that with the resources and the technology and everything that you have at your fingertips, it's possible. So keep on going.
We also appreciate if you guys could, share your experience on Twitter and whatnot, so that we can get a better audience out there to let other people know what we're doing. Especially since we're connected with Allyson, she actually got us somewhat connected with Chelsea Cross, the profile that she had on Twitter. And so, getting ACM out there, and also Allyson and her endeavors out there, we really appreciate that. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to direct them to her. If it's okay with you,
Definitely.
Share your email and the book that you requested.
Yeah, and everybody, you can share the book with everybody.
Okay.
Everybody get a free copy of the book.
On one condition, you have to tweet it out. So.
All right. You got to get on Twitter if you got a business. If you have your own business, you have to be on Twitter.
So ACM would like to show our gratitude. So we have a gift for you.
I think small.
Small.
Thank you so much. You guys didn't have to do that.
We said. So we said this. Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. This is cool. And thank you for my t-shirt. I appreciate that.
And if we get some.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So next week we'll be having we'll be having a speaker from CPAN come to talk to us about Scrum and rapid development methodologies and stuff like that. So I want you guys to keep tuned in about that information. Also put it on Facebook and email, Twitter as well.
Tell your friends. And tomorrow we have software talk. Software algorithm. Yeah, and 9:30 to 11:30.
So you send me that information, and I'll send that out.
And tomorrow at school, we're having a retail fair and keynote speaker from
So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. So you guys keep in tune. Thank you for coming out. It is a bit of a this time, but we'll still post everything up on YouTube so people can watch it still. So thank you guys for coming. That's all.
All right, thank you. Nice meeting you guys. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Yay.
You got it?
Yeah, that was quick. Yeah, I usually take faster.
Oh,
That's
okay.
okay.
All right, cool. So y'all gonna post that out on Twitter? This was good. I enjoyed it.